when they're teaching a dog at obedience school, they'll put a dog at one end of the room and they'll put the master at the other end of the room. And between the puppy and the master, they put a bowl of food. And if the puppy, and then the master is to call the puppy. If the puppy spies the food, he's a goner. He's going straight to the food because he's distracted by it. He's tempted. And so in obedience school, they teach dog to keep their eyes on the master. That's what you got to do. You can't be looking at your bank book balance. You can't be looking at the fact that you haven't had a job in a year, or that your marriage is falling apart. You cannot simply look at the situation. You've got to look at the Savior. You can't look at as a victim. You've got to look at the victor. You can't look at the problem. You've got to look at the problem solver. You must keep your eye on Jesus. You say, Rick, you don't know what I'm going through. What I'm going through right now is unendurable. Friend, the only way you will be able to endure the unendurable is to keep your eye on the invisible. If you look at, Corrie ten Boom said it like this. Corrie and her sister Betsy were incarcerated in Auschwitz because they were Christians in Holland. And she wrote a book about this, The Hiding Place. And they hid Jews in their home to protect the Jews during the World War II from the Nazis. And one day they found the Jews, and they not only took the people they were hiding, but they took Corrie and her entire family and took them to Auschwitz too. Betsy died there in the death camp. Corrie later wrote, if you look at the world, you'll be distressed. If you look within, you'll be depressed. If you look at Christ, you'll be at rest. It all depends on what you've got your eyes on. It's all a matter of perspective. You can only do the impossible if you see the invisible. We keep our eyes on Jesus. What does that mean? It means I remember God's goodness to me in the past. I remember God's closeness to me in the present. I remember God's promise of power for me in the future. And I get my mind off my discouraging circumstances. I can either worry or I can worship. I can panic or I can pray.